nobody's really surprised that following the elections, Republicans are trying to stop people in Georgia from voting. Stacey Abrams probably least of all is surprised by that. But she was on CNN talking recently about some of these most recent bills. So let's go to a bit of what she had to say.
They are going to end no excuse mail-in voting, which has been there since 2005. They're going to reduce voting on Sundays, ask for stricter ID requirements, take away drop boxes. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in DC, he called this effort by Georgia Republicans, quote, racist, plain and simple, unquote. Do you agree? And is there any way for Democrats to stop these efforts?
Well, first of all, I do absolutely agree that it's racist. It is a redux of Jim Crow in a suit and tie. We know that the only thing that precipitated these changes, it's not that there was a question of security. In fact, the Secretary of State and the governor went to great pains to assure America that Georgia's elections were secure. And so the only connection that we can find is that more people of color voted, and it changed the outcome of elections in a direction that Republicans do not like. And so instead of celebrating better access and more participation, their response is to try to eliminate access to voting for primarily communities of color. And there's a direct correlation between the usage of drop boxes, the usage of in-person early voting, especially on Sundays, and the use of vote by mail, and a direct increase in the number of people of color voting.
Ben, what are your thoughts?
You know, she's absolutely right. I mean, but to a certain extent, her comments really don't make a lot of difference because they know they're being racist. That's the point. The point of it all is to try to maintain power on a system that has systemically disenfranchised black people in this country, marginalized communities, people of color, women, historically in this country. And this is one of their last salvos. This is the death pangs of white supremacy, is to cling to power by any means necessary. So she's making an astute point, but that's the whole point. The whole point is extension. What is voter suppression if not Jim Crow enduring?
Yeah, you're 100% right that they know what they're doing and why they're doing it. And beyond that, when you get into sort of, when we discuss this, when we try to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, who are we attempting to persuade? I mean, clearly, I don't think that we're trying to like convince Republican voters, hey, they're lying to you. It's not about the voter fraud, it's about racism. I think they're pretty, I feel like they're pretty confident about that. I think that's kind of why they like it. And maybe in theory, Trump told them there's fraud, so I guess they'll believe it. But we know what's going on. They're not going to like certain neighborhoods, polls to harass voters because of specifically a fear of fraud there. That's not what it's about. Like best case scenario, some of the voters aren't supporting it for explicitly racist reasons. They're just totally cool with the racist stuff. They're just doing it because they believe that in the short term it will help them politically. But yeah, I have no doubts that they understand what's going on. I hope that in covering these sorts of things that we've been talking about, I mean, how many videos have we now done about in the past couple months about these sorts of bills? It is that in the same way that they're going to attempt to get power by stopping people from voting, we have to get people fired up about the future of American democracy and actually care to fight for it, to support politicians who are going to do the opposite of these bills, that are going to fight for HR 1 or even better legislation in the future, that we're going to get people into office, they're going to put judges on the bench that will actually defend voting rights rather than providing eventual cover for bills like we're talking about in Texas and Georgia. The Republicans have their champions in the war against democracy. We need our own. And I don't know that there's a lot of Democratic voters that think a lot about voting rights and access and suppression and gerrymandering and all of that when they're getting involved politically. And I think it's a thing that needs to take up more of our time and attention.
Absolutely.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.